In this video, I'm going to read an excerpt from my book, Mysteries of Canada Volume 1, a collection of true stories containing some element of the mysterious, the supernatural, or the unexplained, all of which take place in the Great White North. If you'd like to get a copy of this book, please check out the link in the description. One section of my book delves into the poltergeist phenomenon, in which certain people, usually teenage girls, found themselves harassed by what seemed to be invisible entities hell-bent on wreaking mischief and mayhem. Spiritualists, as students of the supernatural are known, have concocted all sorts of theories which purport to explain this phenomenon. Some believe that poltergeists are mischievous supernatural entities which feed off the energy of troubled teenagers. Others believe that poltergeist activity can be attributed to hoaxes perpetrated by angsty teenage girls for the purpose of causing mischief or attracting attention to themselves. Others still maintain that poltergeist activity constitutes acts of telekinesis unconsciously perpetrated by the moody teenagers around which they revolve. Whatever its derivation, poltergeist activity is a surprisingly common occurrence in the Western world, and Canada is no exception. In my book, I described 7 cases of these mysterious manifestations, all of which took place in the eastern half of the Great White North. The following is one of those cases, which I entitled The Christmas Ghost of Eastern Passage. Enjoy. In the Western mind, Christmas Eve has a strong association with mystery, magic, and miracles. According to the Gospel of Luke, for example, angels appeared to Syrian shepherds on the very first Christmas Eve to announce the coming of the Messiah. There is an ancient European folk legend which holds that animals gain the ability to speak at the stroke of midnight on this sacred evening so as to celebrate the birth of Christ. And of course, there is a story of Saint Nick and his 8 flying reindeer. From Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol to Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life, most stories involving supernatural activity on Christmas Eve are tales of hope and joy. For one Nova Scotian family, however, their own Yuletide ghost story turned out to be the stuff of nightmares. 'Twas the night before Christmas, 1943, and something indeed was stirring in the home of Lewis and Ethel Hilchey, who lived with their children in a cottage in Eastern Passage, a peaceful suburb of Halifax. That night, the Hilchey home resounded with 3 deep, hollow, and completely unexpected knocks, which shattered the evening's tranquility. To the children's disappointment, a thorough investigation conducted by Mr. Hilchey proved that the mysterious sounds were neither the result of reindeer landing on the roof, nor evidence of a certain jolly gentleman's attempt to invade their home by way of the chimney. Try as he might, Lewis Hilchey was unable to ascertain the source of the knocks. Following that fateful evening, strange things began to take place in the Hilchey house. In addition to loud knocks occurring at random, household objects began to move as if on their own accord. One day, the family washing machine walked its way across the floor. On another occasion, the table at which Ethel Hilchey sat with 3 of her children overturned, seemingly on its own. Once, a pillow hurled itself down the stairs. Another time, Lewis and Ethel's teenage daughter, Catherine, while heating a frying pan over the stove, watched an egg jump into the skillet as though propelled by unseen hands. By New Year's Eve, Mrs. Hilchey was at her wit's end. In early 1944, she called both the Halifax Regional Police and the Mail Star, a local newspaper, and implored them to assist in getting to the bottom of the mystery. Although the police were no more successful in their attempt to identify the elusive culprit than Lewis had been, the Mail Star reporters witnessed some eerie manifestations of their own. One journalist gazed, mouth agape, as a pair of scissors lying on the shelf trembled, shook, opened and closed on their own. Another reporter, while interviewing Ethel, watched a kettle of boiling water intended for the teapot pick itself off the stove and crash to the floor. These same newspaper men, during their visit, saw a steaming bowl of soup levitate and tip into Catherine's lap, watched a box of soap flakes fly down a flight of stairs, and witnessed an alarm clock take flight from a dresser. The violence of these manifestations seemed to increase with time. The poltergeist graduated from tossing pillows to hurling hammers down the stairs. One evening, Ethel Hilchey descended these same stairs when something grasped the heel of her slipper and wrenched it off. Several days later, the same thing happened. This time, Ethel fell down the stairs, fracturing one of her ankle bones in the process. Interestingly, at least one animal seemed to sense the strange power that lurked within the Hilchey home. For several weeks, a stray dog took to sitting at the Hilchey's front step and howling at the door. In the spring of 1944, a researcher named Dr. Thomas L. Garrett, president and founder of the Garrett Foundation for Psychological Research, paid a visit to the Hilche home at the behest of the American Weekly magazine. Garrett was a veteran of many a paranormal investigation, and had revealed a respectable number of hoaxes in the past. During his visit, Garrett interviewed Louis, Ethel, and the children at length, pausing once when a teapot flew off a hook in the kitchen to whiz by the head of the Hilche's eldest girl, 21-year-old Gladys. Ultimately, he came to the conclusion that the strange activity was not fraudulent, and seemed to revolve around teenage Catherine. Incidentally, a day prior to his arrival, Catherine claimed to have seen the face of a strange-looking man with bushy hair peering at her through a window. As Garrett put it in an article for the aforementioned magazine, quote, "Investigation revealed that all the mysterious manifestations appear to have taken place in the presence and the unknown to herself cooperation of Catherine." Regarding his comment on Catherine's unwitting complicity in the manifestations, Garrett flirted with the notion that Catherine, along with other adolescents around whom poltergeist activity revolves, projected invisible, quote, "psychic, semi-flexible rods from her body which, being struck sharply on the floor, table, chair, or other body, cause the raps or knocks," unquote. Later on in the article, Garrett admitted that, quote, "the theory of the psychic rods, accepted as it is by many psychic investigators, requires further substantiation." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to learn more about poltergeists and other strange phenomena reported in the Great White North, please check out my book, Mysteries of Canada Volume 1, which you can find by clicking the link in the description.